All right, everybody, welcome to this meetup group. Thank you for taking time out of your busy evening to want to learn something about healing trauma through self-awareness. We have a guest speaker tonight. Her name is Stacy Linnelli. I hope I pronounced that right, Stacy. Uh,
Linnell.
Linnell. Okay, Stacy Linnell is a BSW, began her academic journey at Alvernia University in Reading, PA, and completed her degree at the University of Maryland University College. With over 25 years of dedicated service, Stacy has been a staunch advocate for social justice. Her professional experience spans various roles, including social work, grief counselor for mothers and couples dealing with miscarriage and the death of small children. She was a service coordinator, dealt with trauma as a ER social worker, a gift of life coordinator, domestic violence counselor, and sexual assault counselor. So she has lots of experience with trauma, ladies and gentlemen. So Stacy, thank you for being here. I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. How's everybody doing? I hope everyone is doing well this evening. I want to thank you, Dan, for giving me this opportunity. I have been having issues earlier this today with my electronics, but they were not acting up right before I came on here. So that just tells me that this was supposed to happen because it was trying to be blocked. Okay. I'm excited to share what I know with you guys about healing trauma through self awareness and also self reflection, because I feel like a lot of people overlook the fact that, we go through maybe therapies, different therapies, psychiatrists, psychologists, but there's nothing like taking it in for yourself and really going within and realizing what your triggers are and how to cope and find different tools. I find that we have people around us who deal with just the issue, but they don't go deep enough to really eliminate what someone feels about something that has already happened towards them in their life that could have been very traumatic, whether it be domestic violence, sexual assault, human trafficking, you never know, a traumatic brain injury, anything in their childhood, adulthood. We all experience it at some point in time, but we don't always get the tools. We get the resources, but we don't get the tools. And I want to be someone who brings this to your awareness. Now, what you'll be seeing is the um, guided journey that is right in front of you here that's coming out. I will not be saying the things that are on the screen, you guys, but you can read them yourself, okay? What I want to bring to the table is how to, once you understand that you have been traumatized, what do you do with it? How to use that trauma, turn that pain that you've experienced into power in order to put yourself in a space where you are using that pain to get to the next level where you want to be. A lot of the times we are in a space where we're continuing the trauma because we haven't left certain energies alone, or we haven't left certain behaviors alone. We continue the cycle of reliving the trauma and sitting in it instead of finding the tools. And a lot of people say, well, that's going to the psychiatrist, that's going to the psychologist. And yes, and to therapy. Yes, it is. However, when you experience an accident or abuse and you're talking to someone about it, that person still does not understand your trauma the way that you understand your trauma. You have lived through it. You have gone through situations where you were doing it alone. And so no one is ever going to truly understand. So you're using someone as a sounding board so that you can get all of what you have been through out. But you need to do the self reflection in order to understand that it starts within you, the healing process. even though you may go without of you to therapy, to physical therapy, to psychologists, to psychiatrists, or whatever professional you decide to use, knowing that this person has heard other people's stories. And sometimes their emotions are disconnected from what you two are going through. Knowing that you still have to do the work for yourself in order to go within. And so some of those tools look like meditation, Reiki. Some of those tools get you started into a different path of healing instead of running to get a pill or instead of running to get a diagnosis. We must go within to see what we really need, because our body is already telling us and our mind is telling us what we need, but we refuse to see it. And it could definitely be using someone as a sounding board. But some of the tools of self-awareness is understanding what you are being put in that triggers you. There could be a situation such as you going to a family gathering with people that you don't necessarily vibe with, even though they are family. You find yourself off alone in the corner usually, or in the background somewhere, and everybody else is laughing and enjoying whatever else is going on in the festivities. But you always find yourself as the black sheep or someone who is left out. There is a coping mechanism that you have gained from being in that situation. And some of us don't realize the strength of that coping mechanism. And it is to be in a surrounding with people that you don't generally vibe with, but to also be able to see beyond the current situation. It's not always a healthy coping mechanism, but that's where you go in and you become self-aware of, this is what I am doing. I am so used to gathering with these people that I just decide to stay. When you don't have to do that. This is where you become self-aware with how something is affecting you or with how someone is affecting you. Instead of pushing down those feelings that you have when Aunt Betty says something about your weight, or when you have an uncle who seems to maybe a little bit too friendly, or a cousin who feels like they can make you the butt of their jokes. You becoming self-aware to that is what is happening here, and deciding that I want to separate myself from that. Or say you were in a work situation, okay? Where you don't necessarily fit in with the people that are in your surroundings, whether it be virtual or you go into a space, but you know that you're there to do a certain job. And so you're standoffish because you already feel the energy that you need to separate yourself from these people because they're gossiping about other people, or there's a clique, okay? And you're just not one to be a part of that. You are becoming self-aware that this is not a space that you want to be in. And that is half of it. Understanding the culture of a workspace where you know that you need to separate yourself. Being self-reflective at the end of the day of, well, how could I have handled that situation with that coworker that I don't get along with so well? What about that family member that, you know, well, we help each other out, but I seem to be doing the most of the work when it comes to our relationship. They don't call me unless I, you know, text them, or they don't text me back with for weeks at a time. You becoming self-aware that you're giving more in a situation. This here will help you recognize the pattern of your trauma of staying in relationships or situations because that is what you feel like you're supposed to be used to. Okay. I feel a lot of us have decided that when we keep in this energy, this trauma, because you can experience trauma at workplaces, okay? You can also experience trauma from family. It is the self-aware part of you that begins to tell you this is not how relationships are supposed to go, whether they're work or whether they are romantic or if they are platonic or family relationships. You self-reflecting every day you should be. How could I have made something better? How could I have done or reacted? You have control over how you feel. You cannot control other people's actions, but you have to have that self-awareness where you know that you control how you feel about what someone said or how someone acted. When we think of trauma, we don't think of that as trauma, but it does cause physical issues within us. We become closed off to relationships with people because you figure, well, it's just going to end up just like this work relationship or this family relationship or this platonic relationship. So you close yourself off, and it does cause you to do some things that you wouldn't normally do, such as maybe get a addiction. You're spending more time alone because you're closing yourself off. The addiction could spiral from a family, a generational thing, being out of control. And it doesn't have to be with drugs. It could be with anything that you have an addiction with, shopping, okay? Sex, whatever, okay? There's definitely trauma. Overeating could be one. Something of that nature where you're trying to bury those emotions from that trauma. Then that just goes into your physical health. Your physical health will lack. You could be depressed. You could, like I said, overeat, start to gain weight and get health issues. All of this goes into your trauma, and it's not just a surface thing to talk to a psychologist or a psychiatrist. And I'm not bad mouthing the industry. I love them. But you need to go deeper with the self-reflection, with the self-awareness, even though you're using them as a sounding board and possibly someone who can help medicate you to maybe have a chemical balance better. Go within to see if there is an alternative for you. Learning what you feel, not what someone's telling you that you feel. It's so important to be connected to yourself and understand what your trauma has done to you or done for you. I know that we look at it in a negative aspect, but we all that have suffered some type of trauma have come out better from it. And I like to keep it on a note where we are growing from our hurt and our trauma, and understanding that we can grow, learn, and change if we become self-aware. Again, you can't control someone else's actions. You can only control yours or what people have to say. But when you become self-aware and you self-reflect, those are the tools that you need in order to heal your trauma outside of going to therapy or a psychologist. They can help you on the road, they absolutely can. But getting in with a community where they are backing you, helping you to understand your triggers, even if it is not the most comfortable situation for you, knowing that you have a community that allows vulnerability, which is something that this world does not. That is where your goal should lie, is getting in with where you fit in when it comes to your healing journey. Everyone is not going to thrive in the same part. You're not going to always thrive by hearing the spiritual part. Some of it is the mental, some of it is the physical. You have to use the mind, body, spirit in order to heal your trauma. You cannot just use the psychiatrist, the therapist, just the resources and just go. You have to be willing to do the work on you as well. You have to balance it all out. I welcome any questions, any comments, anything that anyone would like to know more about. You can definitely if you know you're looking for a community, you can definitely reach us on our social medias. They're right there. You guys can always reach us there if you're looking for a place where you can start your spiritual journey. I also can be emailed at stacylinnell14@gmail.com, which I meant to put on here and I forgot. But you all can always get my information. You can always DM me here, or if you can do that on here, it doesn't matter. But if you're interested, please hit me up. I'm sure that you will find our community really welcoming.
Stacy, at this point, I'm gonna stop the recording because I see Ally has her hand raised, so she wants to talk. So I want to make sure that that portion is not recorded, okay?
Right, absolutely.
All right.